Here's a close-up of the crochet Easter basket. And as you can see, there's a little pad of grass here made out of Mary yarn. And the rest of it is made out of Serenity Chunky yarn. And it started at the bottom with a big single crochet circle. So to get started, you chain 4. And you slip stitch in the first chain to form a ring. So you insert your hook, yarn over, draw up the loop, and then bring that through the loop on your hook. And then I usually put my finger through the hole so I know where my stitches are going to go. And then it says to work 6 single crochets into the ring. So you insert your hook right into the center of the ring. And I also work over the end of my starting chain. So I'm going to draw a loop up out of the hole, yarn over, and draw through 2. And go back into the center of the ring. I'm working over the end of my starting chain. I'm going to draw a loop up out of the center of that ring, yarn over, and draw through 2. That's my second single crochet. I'm going to go back into the center of the ring, yarn over, draw that loop up out of the ring, yarn over, draw through 2. That's my third single crochet. Back into the center of the ring. I'm working over the end of my starting chain. I'm going to yarn over, bring a loop up out of the ring, yarn over, draw through 2. That's number 4. Go back into the center of the ring, working over that strand, draw a loop out, yarn over, draw through 2. That's number 5. Go back in, yarn over, draw up, and draw through, and that's number 6, just like that. Now it says to work, if you join the rounds like this, I'm not going to join, I am going to take a strand from the outside. This yarn changes from yellow to pink, and the color here is called Cotton Candy. And what I'm going to do is take a strand of the pink from the outside, like right here, and use that as my marker. So I've got a strand of pink here, and what I'm going to do, I'm not going to join my rounds, I'm just going to lay the contrasting color of yarn on this side of my last stitch right there. Now it'll become sandwiched between my last stitch that I worked and the next stitch that I work, because the next stitch will be part of round 2. So right here you can see I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So to start round 2, all I got to do is work 2 single crochets into the first stitch here, and this will be the first stitch of round 2. And then that stitch marker just becomes sandwiched between the last stitch of the previous round and the first stitch of the new round. So I just work 2 single crochets in each single crochet around, like that. And I'm going underneath the top 2 loops of that stitch. Just like that. So I'm basically increasing from 6 single crochets to 12 single crochets on this round. So I'm working 2 in each one, just like that. So you want your stitches to be rather tight, because this is a kind of a firm basket. You need it to be kind of firm. And my gauge is definitely a lot bigger than this gauge. Whoever made this had a really, really tight gauge. Or it was done with the smaller yarn. So I'm just going to go until it's as big as I want it to be on the bottom. And you could also do that too. And you'll be following along with me and you'll see what I'm talking about. So anyway, but you definitely want your gauge to be really tight here so that your basket has a little bit of firmness to it. So at the end of round 2, I now have double the amount of single crochets. I've gone from 6 single crochets on round 1 to 12 single crochets on round 2. And right here is my little stitch marker. So I want to move it. I'm not going to pull this out. I'm just going to bring it from the front to the back, or I could just as easily bring it from the back over to the front. It doesn't really matter. So now I'm going to work the next round with increasing every other stitch. So I'm going to put 2 in here, and then 1 in the next one, and then 2, and then 1, 2, and then 1. So what's happening here is every round I'm increasing 6, and to do that very symmetrically, all I have to do is increase the space between the increases by 1 stitch every single round. So this was every stitch I did 2. This is every other stitch I'm doing 2. And then the other one will be, the next one will be every 3rd, and then every 4th, and then every 5th. And then that's how you increase very evenly on your single crochet rounds. And I could keep this circle going forever. So once you master this, let's say you want to make a rug, you could just use a giant hook and multiple strands of yarn and just keep doing this circle. Or you could even crochet with fabric or the t-shirt yarn that we have. Okay, so now that completes round 3. So I'm just going to take the stitch marker, and it's in the front now. I'm going to move it to the back like this. So I just keep moving that back and forth, and I leave this in until I'm completely done. And then the next one is 2 in the next one, and then 1 and 1. Now it's every 3rd one you're going to do an increase, and then 2, and then 1, and 1. Okay, so just keep going until, now the reason why I work over the end of my starting chain is so that I can pull this and close up that little hole in the center. So as I pull that, you'll see it's almost disappearing, that hole in the middle. So that's why I like it. And then when I get completely done, I usually sew this in with a yarn needle, and then I secure that so it doesn't stretch back out. But at the end of round 3, I'm already this big. So I'm just going to keep my circle going for a little while longer, and then I'll come back on camera and I'll show you how to work in the back loops to start up the side of the basket. So continue on, and you can actually stop wherever you want your basket to be. The width of this one is 7 inches. So if you want to just keep going in this pattern until it's 7 inches wide, that's basically what I'm going to do, and then I'll come back on camera and show you how to work on the sides. But this also increases to 90 stitches, which is round 15. And that's increasing 6 single crochets every single round. So just choose what you want to do. I don't think you want to, if it's coming out really larger than 7 inches, I don't think you want to go that large. But so just come back on camera, keep increasing, and come back on camera with a big circle that looks like the bottom right here. And then I'll come back and show you the sides. So it took me about 9 rounds to get to about 7 inches for the bottom of my basket. And however wide you want to make the bottom of your basket, it'll work out fine. The recommended rounds was 15 in the pattern, and which would have given you 90 stitches. But with 9 rounds, I have 54, I believe. So anyway, the next round after that is working just in the back loop to create this little ridge, and it just makes a definition between the bottom and the sides of your basket. So to do that, all you need to do is, instead of going underneath both those loops there, you just go underneath the back loop, and then the loop that's not worked into creates that ridge, just like that. So you just go all the way around like that, and then I didn't place my stitch marker because I figured when I get around here I'll see that the first stitch was right here. And then when you come around, you just work in both loops again. It's only for this definition of the sides that you do this one round like this. And then now after that, you're going to work until the sides of your basket is about 2 inches tall, and then just work in solid single crochet, and I'll do the same, and then I'll come back and I'll show you how to do this top round and how to make the handle. So I've worked the sides of my basket until they're about 3 inches tall, and the next round is a decreasing round, and as you notice here, it went up straight and then it pulled in a little bit. So this was done on 15 rounds, which had 90 stitches at the bottom, and then 90 stitches up here until the second to the last round, and then there are, I think, 9 decreases, yeah, evenly spaced around the edge, and then 1 row of even single crochet, and then you finish off and attach the handle. So anyway, right here, because I went to 10 rounds, I have 60 stitches, so I would just decrease maybe every 8 stitches, and I would decrease by 6, or you can leave your basket just the way it is without decreasing at the top. So let me just show you how to do a decrease stitch, and all you do for a decrease is insert your hook from front to back through the next, underneath the next single crochet stitch like this, and draw up a loop, and then hold that loop right here like this, and then go into the next stitch and do the same thing, yarn over, draw a loop up, and then yarn over and draw through all 3. So that those 2 stitches now have become 1 stitch right there. And then the instructions tell you to single crochet in the next 8 single crochet. I just skipped one right here. So you just keep single crocheting, and then when another decrease comes up, you just go in here, draw up a loop, and then hold. I use this finger to hold it, and then I go in, yarn over, bring the next loop up, yarn over, and draw through all 3 loops, and that's a single crochet decrease. And then the round after that is an even round, and then you make your handle like I showed you earlier. So this handle is created by working 3 rows back and forth, and then joining those rows into a circle, and then working on 8 single crochets or 7 single crochets around until you reach, I don't know what this size is exactly, but I'll measure it. It says 48 rounds, but it might not take that many rounds, and then you go back to working flat for the other side. And then this sample has a piece of wire that gets fed through that tube to hold up the handle. And then with Mary yarn, there's a little pad of grass that's optional, or you could just use regular Easter grass, or you could just take that yarn and just ball it up in the bottom. So to get started on the handle, you start with a slip knot, and you chain 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and then you work a single crochet in the second chain from hook, and in each chain across. And then, and you could leave a long end on your starting chain also, so you have an end to sew your handle to your basket. And again, you want these to be tight stitches. so that the fabric is really firm. So now I'm just going to single crochet back. And I'm starting to believe that this sample was made with a worsted weight yarn, and this yarn I'm using is a bulky weight yarn, which is what the pattern calls for. So if you want your gauge to match more like this one, I suggest you use a worsted weight yarn instead of the chunky yarn. Because no matter how small you get your hook, you won't be able to get that gauge, I don't think, unless you change your yarn. Because this is how big my piece comes out compared to this piece over here. So that's the difference right there. So this is definitely worsted weight yarn. And I'm just all the way into this project, so I'm not going to change it right now, but this is how you'll make your handle. So now you start working in rounds. So to do so, all you do is bring this together like this, and you're going to start by single crocheting in the first single crochet of row 3 like this. And you don't really need to mark it. I think you could just keep going round and round until it's as long as you want it to be. And you don't need to join your rounds. So just keep going around with the 7 single crochets like this. Then eventually you're going to have a long tube, and when you get to the other side, you just want to, let's say my tube is as long as I want it to be. So when you get to the other side, you don't keep going, you just stop and you turn and you work 7 single crochets back. And you don't continue on, you don't join or anything like that, and then you just turn and you work back on the 7 single crochets. So these become like little tabs for sewing the handle to the basket, which I've never seen before. It's kind of neat. Okay, so now you can see how when you open this up like this, you can sew that to the inside of your basket. And then on the opposite side, you'll have another tab over there, and you'll use that to sew on the other side of your basket. So it's pretty cool. And then you can stuff this and put a piece of wire through here if you want to, or pipe cleaners or whatever you want to do. You could use like a cloth covered florist wire, but be careful for kids' sakes with this kind of a project. So anyway, then you just make your grass, and that pattern is available with this pattern, and that's how you complete the basket. And I hope you enjoy this project, and be sure to subscribe to our channel, like it, share the video, and thank you very much for watching. I'm back over here, and I'm going to knit off one more stitch like this, put it over here, tighten over the whole strand of yarn, and then pull that strand of yarn all the way through. And then just for extra security,